Welcome back. I'm Fiona Mboa here at Church of Uganda Family TV with Ring Diaries, and we're talking about transparency and honesty in marriage with Stella and Ivan. Now, we had an interesting break where before we went for the break, Ivan was saying there are those things you need to protect. Then Stella says, disclose everything. So the question comes, and this let me start with even Ivan. If my husband's friend eh, comes and hits on me, maybe just once, maybe a moment of weakness, and he actually hits, should I be able to come and tell you, Ivan, by the way, your best friend did this and that, or should I just let it?
Okay. My wife always told me that most of the time she was asking me, who's your best friend? I told her I don't have a best friend. Because to me, a best friend is this person I'm going to tell everything and they will not get offended.
That's your term of a best friend?
Yes. So, but these days my wife is my best friend because I tell her almost everything. But back to your question.
Almost.
Yes,
Okay.
I will not say everything. I
Almost
don't want to
everything.
deceive myself. Almost everything.
Okay.
97%. Okay, going back to your question. If my
If
best
your
friend,
or just a friend.
okay, my friend is crushing on my wife, maybe like you said, only once, my wife come and tell me, I don't know, but I think she has to first assess and say, okay, why this guy crushed on me? Hmm? Maybe if it persists, she can always find a way of talking to the husband.
If it persists.
Yes.
But if it's just a one-time thing
If it's
and
a
I tell you
one-time
no
thing,
and you leave it,
it is okay because everyone can crush on someone. Don't continue.
are we then being honest?
Let me give you another example. Me, my wife, she's that friend of mine that we met, but before getting together, we had our list. I want a person who's like this, like this, like this. Me, when I was growing up or when I was a teenager, I wanted people with hips. Those Vasheshi with hips, very light. And for her, she doesn't have hips. And and she always told me, you wanted people with hips because we talked about what we wanted and what we are today. And she also liked people muscular, very tall. But now look
And
at
here
the
is
small
Ivan.
Ivan. I also tell her the same, Katanai Watomela. You ended up with me. But the thing is, that friendship matters before getting into marriage. It is a key to you being transparent and honest to your partner. That fear of offending your partner always brings that hesitance of not disclosing.
Yes, I fear
Because,
to hurt him.
like I said, it is a door. I started by opening up ABC, but the more I opened up, I was like offending you. We ended up in a quarrel. We ended up breaking. So you start disclosing some things, not because you didn't want, but you assess the impact and the repercussions.
Stella, what do you think? Would you tell your husband?
Fiona, for me, my honest position is
You should always tell.
love covers a multitude of sins. And you need to weigh and assess. And like we've mentioned that if it is a once off and this person has repented, they've honestly apologized, you weigh and say, nobody's perfect. There are no saints on the earth. Neither they are saints in marriage. Even you, however much you're trying to live a life of honesty and transparency, you're not a saint. So people fall. So if it's a once off and this person has come out and they've apologized and they've said they will not do it again, I think give them the benefit of doubt and let it be. Don't press it. Don't destroy a relationship, because your disclosure is going to destroy the relationship between your husband and that person. And yet, honestly, this person has apologized. If they are hitting on you several times, this is a brewing challenge. And you need to come out and talk about it and then proceed with your husband.
So if it is once, we can let it lie.
We can let it lie if the person is apologetic. If they are not apologetic, We
Then
still wait and see. Use wisdom, because you're going to destroy what you may not be able to rebuild again.
This is a friend who has been giving me some money when we don't have at home and is spoiling the friendship.
Well, Ivan, how about me and my relationship with you? If I'm only going to consider, but also, is that a good friend if they're doing that to your wife?
That does not mean that this is a bad friend. People have weaknesses, but when they are good. You see here, me, I'm not perfect. I have my weaknesses, but my wife loves me the way I am. So no one is perfect. Hitting on your wife does not mean that he's not a good friend. He might be a good friend, helping you maybe financially, even counseling, many other things.
Oh my
But
God.
he has his
But
weakness.
Ivan, no. What is he cancelling if he's in the basic?
Counseling is very,
He's
very
failing on the
He's
basics.
failing on the basics. I can
He
even
has crossed
cancel.
the line.
Anyway, so for me, that brings out two things. One, there are areas that we must be transparent. Then there are those where we can use wisdom, right? What are those areas where we must be transparent?
Okay, I'll go faster. I don't want to use a one-size-fits-all approach, because what is working in my marriage may probably not work in another person's marriage. But I'll just share what has worked for me in my marriage. The things that we are very open and transparent about in my marriage with my husband. Number one, the issue of finances. We disclose all up to
And
the
yet that
bare
is the
minimum.
issue that brings a lot of contention.
Up to the bare minimum. I know how much salary my husband earns. I know what allowances he gets every time he travels. I know how much money has come in. I know every detail, literally, about what my husband brings
And you
in.
think we should
And
disclose all that?
on a personal level, it has worked for us. For others, it may probably not work, but my honest view is, from my experience and from my marriage, it has worked beautifully for us. So we disclose finances, we disclose issues to do with, for instance, when I was working within the bank, we used to receive our NSSF statements on a regular basis. So every time I received those statements, I would actually run home and show him, see our wealth, see how rich we are. This is the money we have in NSSF. It's mine, but I
it
am
is
showing
ours.
it to him as in our money. This is our money. And then the passwords. My husband knows the password of my ATM card. I actually give him the card when he needs to go and withdraw money. And the same happens for him. I know his passwords. I know the passwords for his phones. And that helps us to be open, to be clear. There is no room for doubts. So when he says there is no money in the house, I believe it, because
you
I
know.
know. I know how much money is coming in. So when it is done, I know it is done. It's not an issue of has some money gone outside. No. So for me, finances, telephones, bank accounts, and everything else.
But still, it
Spoken.
seems what is working in your marriage is what is disturbing most marriages.
Yeah,
The three
I
things:
think she
money,
got.
phones. Like those are biggest issues we have in the marriages. I don't know what you heard about. But now, in regards to money, Ivan, for example, you find there's someone paying school fees for maybe the people at home. But every time I bring it into the relationship to talk about it, it brings a fight. So this poor woman or poor man decides, you know what? For the peace of the home, let me pay for my people. Quiet. So in now for you being able to manage it and you can actually open up about that. I don't know, Ivan, for you, what would you say in that regard?
You know, there are two things. There is disclosing whatever you get and how to spend it is a problem. Because that's like that. We all want to know what your spouse is getting, what are you putting on the table, then we break it down, we use it for what. May I have challenge or that my personal experience with finances, I really had a lot of challenges. I think it was triggered by the upbringing. My wife happened to have grown with her parents, where the parents were working together. The dad is the CEO, the mom is the accountant. They handle money together. Made this independent Ivan started staying alone at 13 years. Independent, I have to budget for my everything. My money is my money. So you go into marriage where you have to be one.
And disclose your money.
Disclose your money. And another challenge is my wife discloses every money she gets. And actually she wants even to give me accountability of everything she has used the money for. And me, I was not responding like her. So she raised the question, but why you don't disclose your money? I told her, me, I'm not a salary-based person. I'm a surveyor. You get a gig, you get this much. You work on a project, you given a lump sum of 40 million. But that 40 million, if you break it, it is for work. It is operation costs. And for her, if she's seeing this 40 million, she wants to start budgeting for it. Now we get issues with money. Yes, I started disclosing. I got a contract of this much. But this money they have given us so far, it is to do ABC. It was, I think, about communication. For her, she thought, you put this 40 million,
It's our money.
it is our money. And she started budgeting for it. I think I discovered the rope, it was communication. Because up to now, she's happy. She says, at least now I know the project she gets, I know the money, I know the. But I used to tell her, and this is to majority of men, whatever money I get, I spend it on us. Because, honestly speaking, I cannot start paying someone's school fees when I've not told my wife, when we have not discussed it. Be open. There's one time that something happened. We pay some children's school fees. We have not paid our children's school fees. But the other one was in a candidate class. I told my wife, now, you know what, we have not yet gotten fees for our children. And the other one is a candidate person. Let us first get this money we have, pay for her. I was still in baby class. And she agreed. And just imagine if I just paid for the other and tell her we don't have money.
No, but also imagine she had said no.
She said, of course I'll take her word, because if you don't agree, even the Bible says, if you don't agree, you will not. You have to agree on the things about communicating. Another thing about where you need to be transparent is about health. The other time I was talking about health because I was trying to finish a point. Health, it is always you and it will be discovered. Always be discovered that you are not fine. If you get an issue, for example, if your wife is not feeling well and the conjugal rights are demanding, that's why people end up saying I'm raped. She doesn't want, not because she doesn't want, she's not in that mood, but she's sick. If she has not said that I'm sick, if she's not transparent enough to say, I have this thing disturbing me, this disease disturbing me, you see how it is causing chaos in home. So I think even those maybe those conjugal rights, to communicate, be transparent, this happened, I have STI, I have this, so that you
There's
can.
something you said and it has reminded me, but we are on family TV, so I want to know. But in that regard,
Yes.
if I don't like what you do, should I be honest?
If you don't like what I'm doing,
The conjugal rights you're talking about.
that
What you're
I-
doing is off your
I
offside. Should I actually
completely-
tell you?
I completely support the transparency, that side, in that point. It has separated marriages. Because people, of course, we hear, this guy is not performing well, but you can't tell him.
If I tell you, it will hurt your ego or it will make you.
But if you don't tell me and you get it from outside, what are you solving? Tell me I know my weakness.
You
I work
on
on
it
it.
together.
Yeah.
Speak the truth in love.
Anyway, let us not go aside because it excites me.
Yes. So at least we've agreed that we should be able to disclose financially, health. What other things must we disclose? Like the others, you can say use wisdom, but there are those things that you must disclose. For example, if I had a child outside marriage, for the woman it's maybe not possible. You would see that I'm pregnant, but for a man, if I had a child outside marriage, should I be able to disclose? At what point should I even disclose?
Okay. Like I mentioned,
The earlier the better.
one, the earlier the better, but also two, as a rule of thumb, when making decisions always, ask yourself, what is the implication?
Exactly.
If I keep quiet and it is discovered,
But
later,
also, if I keep
what
quiet
will
and
happen?
it's not discovered, and
You
we
get
are
it?
at peace.
How will it not be discovered?
Ugandans,
How will it not be discovered?
Ugandans even die
There is
before they
nothing
know.
that you'll do in the hiding, in the dark, that will not have its time to come out. It will definitely come out. You like it, you don't like it. So ask yourself, the time it comes out, what damage is it going to cause?
Yeah.
And now, if I declare it now, before the damages happen, which one is heavier? And that should help you to determine
Stella,
that the earlier you disclose, the better.
what if I disclose that I made someone pregnant, and after giving birth, the child is actually not mine?
That already speaks to
Honestly.
Yeah, not being honest.
there are issues that you're also struggling with yourself. You get it? Eh? You're struggling in the area of infidelity.
Yes.
You have so many other partners on the side. So even if you're lucky that you have not fallen into the trap
You're
of
yet
you
to-
father the child,
You're
but
yet
sooner or later you're actually going to come out with a child. But at the end of the day, the guilt that you live with as a result of what you're doing should move you to
come
do
and
otherwise, to come
disclose.
clean and disclose and say, I cannot live with this dark thing anymore. I need to take it.
There are situations where you're no longer feeling guilty because you have repented to God.
Wow.
Yeah,
How can
you're
you
no longer
repent to
feeling-
God and you're not feeling guilty about sin? What is repentance
But God
if we are
has
not
forgiven
feeling?
you.
If
You
we
know,
are
when
not
you-
feeling,
when you're no
you
longer
must
feeling
feel
guilty.
guilty where sin, where wrongdoing
And you
is
go
Yes.
to
sad.
God,
Yes,
and
I
God
And you
has
go to God.
forgiven
Now,
you.
if God is forgiving you, surely remember you're one in this partnership. How can God forgive you and down this way? Even God himself says, how can you claim to love me when you don't love the ones you're seeing? You love me whom you've not seen, but the one you're living with every day, you're not loving them in the
So
correct
you
way.
first seek for
Remember, you're
forgiveness
one.
from your spouse, then
You're
to
one.
God.
It's a package. By the time you go to God, you're honestly repenting even to your spouse. It's a full package.
Okay.
Because remember, in this marriage, we are representing God. So if you're representing Christ properly in your marriage, by the time you tell the Lord, I am sorry for what I have done, it should be easy and automatic for you to do the same to your spouse. That is the
Okay. There are people who
correct
have
approach.
scars. What happened before history? Maybe I had a girlfriend that I was very open to and very honest and transparent. Like you say, you mess up somewhere, you come very open. Do you know my girlfriend? I did ABC. Then you break up because of your being honest.
Because of your honesty. they
Now
leave
you come in this marriage here. You say, now the other time when I told her the truth,
She
it
left
ended
me.
up this way. My wife remained here. Yeah? So you contemplate on what to say and not. Maybe you say, let me keep quiet. It will save my marriage if I keep quiet.
Sooner or later, the truth will come out. Let's use daily life experiences. As people who go shopping on a regular basis, how do you feel every time you go to the market to buy a kilo of meat and you come back home and you know the mizani was tampered with and the kilo you're carrying is actually not a full kilo? What happens to you next time? Will you want to go back to that same person who is always selling? I actually had an incident recently when I was doing shopping for my son, whom I took back to school. We were buying 4 kilos of nuts. And I held the nuts, but I wasn't comfortable. The thing was not adding up. So I told the shop owner, kindly help me reweigh these nuts. They don't seem to add up. And indeed, when they put it on the weighing scale again, the nuts was less by 300 grams. 300. Tell me, if you're the one and somebody is dealing that dishonestly, would you go back to that person again?
No.
You want honesty and transparency in your day-to-day dealings with people. But when it comes to your spouse, why shouldn't the same principle
Because
apply?
the impact
Because
is
you
different.
know
The impact,
when
yes.
they get it, what will be the impact? Now put yourself in their shoes. If it were you and you're taking a decision, you take a decision on somebody basing on the truth that they reveal to you. anything that they hold back, even you yourself, you know that this is a trouble area because somebody has held back important information which is supposed to help you in making your decision. So you go with the one who declares than the one who holds back. Just like in the case of the one who gives you less kilos, less grams, you will not go back to that person because they are a dishonest person. The same principle applies in our marriages.
Okay. Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah, let us
I'm going to disagree.
because the impact is totally different. Your wife is going to go because for the kilo. You go to someone.
Eh,
You
but now
try
your
someone.
wife will-
Now this is my.
And yet
my
the kilo is small. It is a very small.
It is
300
But
grams
you can.
is very
But
little.
what Evan is
But
actually
the fact
saying,
is,
if I know
you
my
walk away.
wife is going to respond in a way that will break our marriage,
Yes.
must I disclose? Isn't that something that I should use wisdom and say, but you know what? Maybe for the sake of this marriage, let me leave this alone. Especially if it was a one time and it is. Okay, I don't know. It is our views. Then, I think, to what level must we be transparent? Because I've had issues where people say that if you tell Fiona something, by default, Apollo will know it. So people have even feared to trust people because they're over transparent with their spouses. To what level should we be transparent?
Me, I think to the extent of trust that person or knowing that person. We always share or open up when you know that person. I may be having very many friends, yeah? But when I know if I tell Stella this, it will reach Fiona. But I'm very close to you. If I go straight to you, it will offend you or it will hurt you. If she hears it from me, if you hear it from her, it will not offend you. So we have to understand these people deep and their impact.
But now this is your spouse.
Yes, now this is my spouse.
What should you disclose to them? Should you disclose things that are just about us, or we can disclose everything?
Now the extent is going to come after assessing the impact.
Okay.
After assessing the impact. Do you know that if you want to know what happens in the organization, you can always go to the wife.
Yes.
Because we share a lot of
A
things.
lot,
we
yes.
Lumamonga, we talk about people. Because this is your person. Yeah? So, but there are those things which are confidential.
Which are confidential, yes.
You know very well, if I tell this to my wife, I'll find it somewhere else. For example, these people, the lawyers who work in there are those cases that are really confidential. If you come and start now sharing with your wife, do you know what happened? The truth is, that guy killed the other one. But I'm trying to defend him. And you know very well your wife is very rusant, throwing words.
I can go and tell someone.
So you have to assess the impact. And you must be knowing this person. How is this person keeping what you have told them? You notice too, by the way, there's being transparent, but what about the one who telling all that?
Yes. I think that is important because I had a friend who the husband just scrolled through the phone and found a conversation. Like I'm talking to Stella, and now you come and find our conversation. But I think we need to know how far should we go with that.
Okay, me, what I feel, like I've already shared, what we need to be transparent about is issues that concern the two of us directly, where non-disclosure has a big or a direct impact on the dynamics of our relationship. Like I've mentioned, the finances, your benefits, your ATM cards, those ones you can share. But there are those issues where somebody comes in confidence and they are trusting you to hold their issue, to advise them, to help them, and do not spill it to another person. Those ones I do not disclose. And me, as a family coach, I have so many of those. People tell you, this is my challenge, so I do not discuss it with my husband. Even if I'm to discuss it with my husband, I remove their identity. I ask for help from my husband. How would you approach a problem like this? But I remove the names so that he advises without pointing the
place.
problem to particular names. And also issues to do with my maiden family, issues to do with my parents, things that are so personal, and
But and we are
those
one,
ones
Stella. Why
I
would
do not discuss, because I have a moral responsibility to protect the honor and the dignity of my parents and my siblings. So there are things which are known to us as a family, which I would call everybody has certain good dark things in the closet as you're growing up. You know yourself so well. So to protect the honor and the integrity of my siblings and my parents, there are things I choose not to discuss.
I think likewise protecting your husband to your family.
Yes.
protecting your husband to your family?
Protecting my
tell them
maiden
my
family
husband.
from my husband.
And Ivan is saying also the reverse.
And the
should be
reverse
Yeah.
is true.
Okay. Maybe Ivan, just as we come to a close, what for you? Where do you think we should stop, especially with other people's conversations?
Where you should
Where
stop.
how honest should we be to our spouses about other people?
Of course, like she said, things that does not concern my spouse. I shouldn't tell her.
You're serious, and I've forgotten my phone.
But when people say whatever concerns you concerns me, we are one.
Yes, that's where we get it wrong. You know the things of one. Becoming one. I really believe in marriage, but somewhere we have to use common sense. I think the one here is me. I always say it's about decision making. If this thing is really lifting you, two of you, we want to build a home, we want to build a house, we want to buy a car, we want to take our children to school, that is one. Now I cannot be having, okay, at work, there's something I have to do, and it does not concern my wife. Okay, we are one. Even if I tell her she will not contribute positively to this, I shouldn't tell her this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't tell her. But if it is of her help somehow, you can
Okay.
disclose.
Okay. So as we come to a close of this, as we conclude, for our viewers, each of you just tell them what would honestly be the benefits of transparency.
Okay, on a personal level, transparency in my marriage, it has built for us a trust that cannot be broken. There are things that I tell my husband and he just believes it. Things that my husband tells me, he just believes without questioning, because he knows we've built our marriage, we've built our relationship on a foundation of honesty and sincerity. We are open and sincere about virtually every aspect of our lives. So it has helped us to build that trust. There is no room for suspicion. There is no room for doubt. There is no room for just in case today she's lying. No. When I tell my husband something, he knows that is it. I speak my brutal truth. When my husband tells me something, he knows that is it. I know that is it. That is what he means. So transparency builds for you a trust. And marriage cannot be worked out without trust. Trust is the building block upon which every marriage is established.
Thank you very much, Stella. Ivan,
Me,
tell our viewers the benefits of being honest and
the
transparent.
benefits of being honest and transparent, the truth is it builds trust with your spouse. Because if you fail in a few things being open, of course there will be suspicions. Why? You know, those are the battles you find, checking the phones, doing what, but if you're transparent, what should you be looking for in your phone? Because you tell her everything. So it builds trust. But still, I want to tell you that we are all imperfect. Let us always go to God for guidance. Let us have the heart of forgiving. Because sometimes we come with our transparency and where you're broken down. You're not forgiven. Because sometimes we come when you have done something wrong. Being transparent, seeking for forgiveness, and you're really not forgiven. Next time you will first contemplate on should I say it or not. So let us be transparent because it builds us, and let those people we are transparent to have a heart of forgiving.
But also, you don't be always seeking forgiveness all the time.
Yeah,
Thank you very
no.
much, Ivan. Thank you very
know.
much, Stella, for this conversation. And thank you very much, our viewers, for being with us up to the end of this show. As you've heard from them, be honest, be transparent, but also, and what is important, actually, what Ivan has said, if someone is being transparent with you, have a heart of kindness, receive them. The fact that they've been able to come to you, that speaks a lot. So accept them, forgive them, and then let this marriage work properly. Otherwise, continue being honest, continue being transparent at each and every level. But also, don't be transparent about other people's things, and you tell up the whole world their secrets. Huh? Don't tell your husband or wife things that actually don't concern them. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Fiona Mboa here at Church of Uganda Family TV with Ring Diary.